Hi. We have with us head chef and partner of the newly opened and thriving Ekaa in Mumbai, Niyati. Having worked at places like Noma, Taj Group of Hotels, and with several esteemed chefs, she's been making waves on the culinary scene for a long time now. For International Women's Day 2022, we're delighted to have you and would love to ask you a few questions about being what it's like to be a woman in this industry. So the first one is what is the most sexist thing that you've heard from your seniors or colleagues or guests?
Gosh. Well, to begin with, I think, when I started off, I think people, because they're so new to you and you're so new to them, I think it takes a while for them to get familiarized with what your goals are and maybe it aligns with theirs. So I can't say they were sexist. I didn't face anything sexist from the co-workers or my colleagues. But yes, I used to face a lot of sexism from a few guests. Usually, when I started off at the Taj, I used to work at, behind the egg station. I think all of us
Right,
had our breakfast duties where we
right.
had to get up in the morning and, stand behind the egg trolleys and make our omelets and everything. So I think there was once, I think there was this one guest, and I don't know whether he was drunk or not, but he came to me and he was like, pretty girls like you, if they make more pretty girls like you stand behind the counter, then people like me will feel hungrier.
Oh God.
Yeah, it was very straightforward, very abrupt. I didn't know what to do. I don't know, 20. And yeah, I just called my senior and I just thought that, something's wrong with him and I just carried on with my
Was he
duties.
escorted out of the place?
He actually was, yes. The Taj used to take this very, very seriously.
Right,
So
right.
they wouldn't entertain any guest who would misbehave with any employee, as a matter of fact. So I think that was something they have my heart for that.
Right. That's good. Okay, moving on. What is the most interesting aspect of the industry that you work in?
Most interesting aspect has to be the food, the ingredients, the environment. I mean, it's so different. It might be very radical for some people, might be very extreme for some people. But once you actually get into the group, I think it's beautiful. It's unusual. There's almost a thrill every single day. Caroline, that hasn't been one day that has been a dull day or a monotonous day or a boring day, or it's been
Right,
anything like, oh, I have to get in at this time, I have to get out at this time, these are my
right,
duties and responsibilities, let's just get over with him. It was
right.
never like that. It was always, I think, the place, no matter
Hmm.
where you go, every kitchen, you have certain things that you have to do every single day, but I don't know whether it just organically happens or what, but there are always new challenges thrown at you.
Hmm.
Maybe not external, but even internal. You want to do something new, you want to learn something new. It's all about honing your skill set when it comes to the chef's world, and it's never enough. That's the best thing, that it's never enough about my world. That it's, you're just learning constantly and you're learning so many new things every time. What do you do with a certain thing, what do you not do with a certain thing? And you can actually see the polishing in you, your personality, the conditioning, the good part of it, a few years much later than when you actually started off.
Hmm. Hmm.
So yeah, I mean,
Right.
honestly, you learn like Einstein.
Oh wow. Okay. Which brings me to the next question, which is, what are the challenges that you face?
I think the challenges that I faced at first are always, I think, the biggest challenge is the long working hours, not because of anything else, not because of the restrictions that women have while going out in the night. It's,
Mm-hmm.
it's for any human being biologically. I think
Right,
it is extremely difficult physically at
right,
first.
right. Yeah.
Your body through that 18-hour work cycle, which you
Mm-hmm.
have to do sometimes because
Mm-hmm.
the job calls for it.
Right.
I think that's one of the most challenging things. You really have to buck up your health. I think you come to know or you identify your body better, your needs better physically once you get into this job, and then you just have to keep working towards it. So I think that for me was the most challenging thing. When I got into the job, I felt like I was underweight that time because
Mm-hmm.
you do have to pick up things. There are certain ways you have to bend. There are certain ways that you have to move around the kitchen as to
Right,
not hurt. So I
right.
think that at first, I think that would be the most challenging thing. Plus, I think the other challenging thing that I face right now is, there's always going to be like how the writers or the poets have something called a writer's block, where they want to come up with, they can't. I think evolving is a different challenge on. You do want to evolve, sometimes you just don't know how to. So I think catching up with the new trends and walking eye to eye with what's going on today and what is going to be is
Right.
another task level of its own, which I think all chefs should really prep themselves up for, because I think the
Right.
time you start stagnant is the time that, what, like, honestly, we don't always know anything, and that's the best thing. That,
Right.
sometimes knowing everything is the best thing, because that's what's going to push us ahead. That can be the most challenging thing, because when you're in that zone and you have an entire menu and you worked on a big project and everything settled down, you feel like, yeah, this is it. But is it really?
Right.
Need to
Right.
come up with new
Yeah.
has to grow life as well. So I think but there's one more challenge. Let's sleep.
Yeah.
Or
So as you've overcome these challenges, like along the many years that you've been working, what have been some like key lessons, or like maybe one key lesson that you've learned along the way?
very honestly, with as I said, with the physical challenge, you just have to get your body ready. You have to eat super healthy. And when
Right.
I say super healthy, I'm not saying eat salads the whole day or just go on a
Right.
keto or a
Right.
protein
Right.
diet.
Right.
But
Yeah.
eat a very balanced meal. Make sure we're not skipping meals, because most of the times we should actually skip meals.
Right. Right.
So I think it's very important that we keep that in check. That what we were before we started on the job, we continue with that no matter what. We have to have that kind of discipline in order to go on for a long time. We have to go for regular body checkups. Like I would go to my bone doctor every now and then to just get myself checked up. And if there's something wrong, take your vitamins, take your calciums. Just the normal
Right.
steps. Long way. Normal exercising, cardio, it does go a long way. Especially if you're eating and tasting things every single day. So
Right.
it's
Right.
you tend to gain weight more than the other people. Plus, you see your family less. So there's this kind of social disconnect as well, with your friends. To keep yourself mentally also extremely sane, along with physically.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
So
need to.
what do you do
pursue
about the
other
sleep thing then?
About the sleep, I think now my sleep patterns have changed. It gets better. That's
Right.
something I think you learn to do your work faster so that you can rest faster.
And the lessons that you might have picked up along the way.
Lessons, don't give up. I know it sounds extremely cliche,
Right.
but it's real. Don't give up. If you fail at one of your trials, you've got to keep trying again. There was once a trial where I had to give 42 tries. But then,
Oh.
after the 42 tries, 43rd was, and
Right.
it
Right.
just gave me 42 ways of how not to, approach the problem or approach that ingredient. And that's just
Right.
what it is. It's trial and error. Some things that I've learned is finish what you started. I think that's the most important thing that I've learned in the kitchen. Finish what you started. Do not take on something if you know you can't do it.
Okay.
But if you have to do it diligently, whether you're a man, whether you're a woman, whether you're young, whether you're old, it doesn't matter. In the kitchen, it doesn't matter. At least according to me, according to the chefs, my mentors, who
Right.
I've worked, who really honed my skills, who got me where I am, they never distinguished among us. If we make a mistake, there would be consequences, whether you're a man or a woman. If guys, we would get a pat on our back, whether we were
Right.
regarding our job. So those are very valuable lessons that I've learned, and
Right.
you just have to keep going at it. I think the biggest challenge in the kitchen industry is that people give up. You
Right.
can't.
Right.
Hard. It's extremely hard. It makes you. Some people go through depression. Some people they travel too much. I used to travel too much. As I said, less sleep. So many. Sometimes you
Right.
just feel like you're not doing good enough. But people should be too hard on themselves. They should
Right.
keep challenging themselves only to become better chefs tomorrow.
Right.
And yet, one very important thing, the most important, you have to push each other forward.
Okay. Okay. Right.
Uh, which is something I learned because I was in a batch of 14 people
Mm-hmm.
with my Taj management training, and we
Mm-hmm.
were curious blood. But I think that only happens when you struggle together, when you see, when you empathize and sympathize.
Mm-hmm.
The
Right.
day that all the chefs start pushing each other forward, we're gonna make a very beautiful culinary world out of it.
Right. I mean, so given that you've described a very grueling sort of process, like on the daily and like along the way, what keeps you motivated to like keep going, as you said, and to not give up? Like, what motivates you?
Very honestly, um, when you take all of these factors out and you just look at how a chef could perceive the world, the first
Mm,
thing you would see is food, markets,
mm,
ingredients.
mm,
That was way too beautiful for anything else to bog you down. And if you really truly love that so much, believe me, this is something I've experienced personally.
right.
Nothing else, absolutely nothing else is going to bog you down or shy you
Okay.
away from what you want. It's too beautiful. There is too
Right.
much that is unexplored. There is too much to look at, too much to do, too much to try out, than to pay attention to anything else, honestly.
Okay, I mean, this is going to be a strange question to ask given your obvious passion for like cooking and food. But if you were not a chef, what else would you have been?
Oh, I think about this all the time. I honestly think I would have been a tattoo artist or a painter or maybe a ceramic artist. Yeah.
I mean, but that's
One of
like so far removed from like, being a chef. Is that like, are those passions you've always had?
Actually, not really, because I always used to love painting. I'm
Right.
dyslexic, so
Okay.
math and science is not one of my strongest suits,
Right,
generally,
right.
obviously.
Yeah.
But as a child, I was always into
Hmm.
art, paintings, and everything. And
Hmm.
somewhere, I think the dexterity it gives my hands. I think I've seen it transition into becoming a chef. I've seen it while
Right.
I played. I've seen it
Okay.
in my thinking process. I've seen it in my color schemes. It's actually the same world, just maybe a different nation altogether.
Right.
Not that. I think imagination is what fuels me so much. I love doing that. So I think that's the closest thing I could, not anything else.
Is this something that you think you could find time for given your hectic schedules?
Painting, I still do sometimes. Oh, I
I'm,
would have been a dancer too, for sure.
oh, okay. I mean, you can
Yeah.
still be these things. It's not like you can't do it.
I- It's just that we're so busy. I still
Right, yeah.
take up time to dance at home in the morning.
Mhm.
I'll maybe during my offs I'll paint a little, but
Mhm.
it has its limitations.
Yeah, true. Fair enough. Same. So what is one fun thing about working in the industry?
Oh gosh, so many. You can eat all you want. And
Do
the
you?
good thing,
Does your appetite continue to remain the same, even like given that you're around food all the time?
yes, I don't know about the others, but personally,
Right.
yes, I absolutely adore eating.
Right.
I love eating. Like I live to eat, and I think I get my best ideas while I do so. And
Okay.
yeah, no, I think after I got into Taj, I still remember an incident, a very funny one. I was sad about something. I think my chef had shouted at me or something. And
Right.
there are walk-ins, where you can like just go. Walk-ins secretly for chefs are meant to vent out, to cry, to scream, to just cool off a bit.
Right.
So
Right.
literally, I just ran there. I went inside. It was quiet, and then right next to me there was this huge handi,
Huh.
huge container. Like I could
Right.
fit into it.
Right.
He made gulab jamuns that were kept there to cool.
Okay.
I kid you not, I've at least had 21 in the span of 10 minutes that I was.
Oh wow.
Yeah, of course I kept crying, and
Right.
because it was so sweet, but so silly. Because
Right.
there's something that happened in the section or something, and one of my friends, one of my batchmates, he actually walked in, and I looked at him, and I had like these rolling tears in my eyes, with my mouth full of gulab jamun.
Oh
It was,
wow.
and when I remember that,
That would have been like a sight.
it was. I just wish I had like a picture to prove it.
Yeah. Oh god.
But yeah,
So
one of
I
my
mean,
most,
was that something that happened like often? Like
um,
having to like walk away to like vent or cry or cool down or whatever.
used to happened a lot in the first 6 months that I joined actually. Like my
Mm-hmm.
first post was the Zodiac Grill.
Right.
Coming back to Zodiac Grill, I think one of the best things to work in this industry is you learn, like, as I said, you learn like
Right.
Einstein, but you also work with the best quality produce that you couldn't imagine they would
Mm-hmm.
bestow on a 20, 21 year old. Like I was working with foie gras, caviar, and I've only
Right.
heard and read about these things. So for me,
Yeah.
that was a different world altogether. I was like, this
Right.
is something else. And them
Right.
trusting me with is absolutely something else. They let me try whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted. They never stopped me. And I think because of them, because they allowed me to do so,
Mm-hmm.
I, I, I am the R&D chef that I am, you know. That's the reason I got research and development.
Right. Was it like initially intimidating, or were you confident that you'd do a good job?
Nobody's confident they'll do a good job. I'm still not confident I'll do a good job sometimes, you know. You never know unless and until it happens or you're even close to it. I think sooner or later when you're thinking of dish, you're very confident, ye bahut acha niklega. But then I
Right.
think after a certain point of time you try it and there's a stump in the middle where you're like,
Right.
yeah, maybe this is not gonna work out.
Right. Right.
Work around it, and then when you
Mm-hmm.
come close to maybe plating that dish or getting it together,
Hmm.
you're like, no, maybe I've hit something special, you know.
Right.
The confidence starts building up again. It's
Mm-hmm.
for chefs, it's like an instant gratification sort of thing. You know, there are like
Right.
different frequencies to our confidence as well, to the our self-esteem. We need to prove to ourselves again and again that no, you're thinking on the right track. So I'm
Right.
used to it.
Right. Right. So, what is one piece of advice that you'll want to give to women entering the industry right now?
Don't think you're women, don't think you're men, just think you're chefs.
Right.
And it'll do the job for you. Just toughen up.
Right.
Don't listen to people unless and until it's constructive. Constructive criticism, and you will know the difference between constructive and non-constructive.
Right. Right.
Just do your thing. Just don't forget why you work so hard to get here. And I think everything else is just sorted. It just happens organically.
Right. But I mean, there's a lot of talk in general, and there has been for like so many years about the culinary industry being like, heavily male dominated and leadership positions not being super accessible to women. Are these like just myths, or, has there been improvement over the years?
So I started my career 6.5, 7 years ago.
Hmm.
Although I used to hear a lot of these things as well, and
Right.
it exists everywhere. Some of it I'm sure are myths, but some of it I'm sure is true. And given different situations,
Right.
I'm sure there has been improvement right now because I mean, otherwise I wouldn't have been here. But at the same time, if there has to be improvement on the other side, there has to be improvement in our attitude as well. And when I
Right.
say our
Right.
attitude, means everyone's attitude, including the women's attitude.
Right. 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 Yeah.
Like, don't just leave because you're making it harder for the others who are here to stay.
Yeah.
And I've seen this. One of my batchmate, she left, and then they said, "हाँ, धीरे धीरे करके तो तुम सभी शादी करके निकल जाओगे."
Oh, okay. Right.
But that wasn't true because we were extremely serious about what we were doing, and I'm sure the one who left was also extremely serious about what she wanted to do, and that's the reason she left. These are just decisions, which I think individual should be allowed to take, and they shouldn't be stereotyped on their decisions due to their gender. I think it's a very archaic way of thinking, but I
Right.
honestly think it's getting better. But I really think it would get better when we all stop referring to people as women chef, women fighter. It makes you, no matter, even if you're talking about their upliftment, it still distinguishes you, which is precisely what we do not want.
Right. Right. True.
Or the best chef, or the best chef in R&D, or the best chef here or there. And
Right.
people who deserve it will get a chance, irrespective whether what kind of hormones they have.
True.
I think that's progress.
Right. Right. Okay. So wrapping this up, what is like one thing that people don't know about the industry that you work in?
It's not super glamorous at first.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not like it's It's not going to pay you very well at first. It's not what you see on the TV. It's not Master Chef.
Mm-hmm.
We don't wear makeup when we cook. You
Right,
know,
right.
it's very difficult. It's super hard. It's a grueling process. It's, as I said, long hours. It's nothing what you perceive on TV. And yes, chefs don't scream and shout the entire day. That's not true
Right,
actually.
right.
Teams that we have in our kitchens, they're like family. It is like that, because we see each other more than we see our own people at home.
Right,
I think you really get very close in the entire process. It's very
right,
different from what is perceived of us outside.
right, right. Okay,
It's more beautiful than what people perceive it to be, much more beautiful.
great. Okay, I think that's it for now. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me. It was great talking to you, and I actually learned a lot more than I have in the last 6 months talking to a lot of chefs. So thank you so much.